Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. Season 3, episode 50. We are almost at the point we're going to be changing the way that we do our seasons. We're just going to go to episode numbers. So this one's going to be fun. I'm excited. We are going to be talking all about clients and dealing with those, well, oops moments, right? I pretty much guarantee that in business and in really any interaction, you will never get it 100% right. And that's okay. You're not expected to, but you're expected, especially in business, to be able to understand the nuances between, oops, I'm sorry, and hey, we need to talk. Because often, those problems may not be 100% on you. But pointing the finger and saying, oh, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, that don't work either. You got to find that happy medium where often everyone is taking, blame for their own stuff, but no one's really pointing any fingers. And if that means from time to time you got to fall on a sword, in my opinion, that's worth that fall. Because often I'd rather maintain a relationship, especially with a business, especially a good business that we work with often, than I would struggle to find a happy medium where both parties say, oh, okay, this makes sense. So let's dive in. If you are watching us live, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed. And hey, let us know that you're hanging out in the live chat. Dianos is here. Ram Online is here. Super Caro, George White. Got a lot of awesome people here hanging out. And thank you guys for coming. Share the stream as well. Let others know that we're streaming and that we're hanging out. Would love to have more people here hang out. And apparently, if you open up a new window and play the stream in that, and as long as the windows aren't being hidden, we get extra views. Something that the Spiffing Brit just showed off as a really interesting way to kind of mess with YouTube. So, I don't know. If y'all want to try it, welcome to try it. But yeah, greatly appreciate everybody coming out. Let's get into the topic. So, let's first understand all about what happens, right? Because part of this is we need to understand when this relationship breakdown occurs. And it is often in the stage of pricing. Pricing is often the big one, right? Where you are ready to provide a price, the customer is theoretically ready to pay, but something doesn't line up. Often their expectation of price was way too low for what your actual price really was. And there are some ways around this, but I would hedge that a lot of times it ain't worth it. And it is better to just say, no problem, appreciate your time, take care. Because you don't want to spend your time trying to explain to someone the value of your time. Because you're spending time to show that there's value, but at the same time not charging for that time, therefore making it less valuable. Make sense? We've talked plenty of times about how I firmly believe that a lot of people in this industry do not charge anywhere near enough for their time. And the problem with that is it makes those of us that do seem incredibly expensive. And we're really not, right? We're just ones that have figured out that working for pennies on the dollar doesn't make any sense. And hey, if you're the type of person that wants to work for pennies on the dollar, you should go find someone who doesn't want to work for pennies on the dollar and go work for them. Because they'll pay you better than what you're likely paying. And because they're charging more, they have a tendency to get really big jobs that are fun, that bring in more money, that have this opportunity that you wouldn't necessarily get as someone that is playing the low game. But we're here to talk more about those problems, right? So let's talk about the anatomy of this misstep for a second. So, client communications can go sour, right? Often it is because of bad communication, unmet expectations, or just simply misunderstandings. And we talked about some of this last week on the show, but I do believe that a lot of it comes down to miscommunicating. I'm not the only one that was in the chat saying, yeah, I either completely undercommunicate or I woefully overcommunicate. And often, as a neurodivergent, I am going to rely heavily on the under rather than over, right? Because you can get away with, oh, I'm sorry, talking you're just running your mouth constantly, even if you're providing good information, will get people to be kind of tired of it very quickly. But establishing those clear guidelines with setting that realistic expectation and ensuring the continuous alignment with your goals and the goals of your client will significantly reduce the chances of one of these missteps occurring. Often, if you communicate properly in the beginning and you know what to look out for, you're not necessarily going to put yourself into a position where you are miscommunicating, because you will have found the missteps well before you've tripped over them. You can see them in the distance. You know they're there. You just got to get to it. That is an issue. Someone says, hi, you don't have to pronounce my name, but I'm going to try anyways. Gudmunder. I'm going to try it. Hopefully I did it right. Mad Cat's here. Mike from Never Let the Machines Win, that's NLTMW, is here as well. Thanks, guys and gals. Brian is here. I miss Brian Blankenship and Rob Bank. I'm sorry I didn't see you guys. Thank you all for showing up. Appreciate it. Share the stream and such. Love to have more people coming in and hanging out. So now we need to look a little further into the reactions, right? We understand how everything occurs, but how do we actually deal with it, right? Understanding is one thing, right? Oh, okay, yeah, they're going to get pissed at me. Great. I'm glad you know this. But how do you get in front of it before it becomes a problem? We don't want to deal with this, right? Nobody likes this conflict. Conflict is not fun. It's upsetting. And quite frankly, for a lot of us, it forces us to say, you know what, screw it. I'll accept whatever number they want. I don't want to lose the business. And I do the same thing, right? It's like, crap, I'd much rather keep this client than potentially lose them. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's better to just let it go. The panic that sets in when you have this oh crap moment where maybe you put your foot in your mouth, there was a massive misunderstanding and it resulted in what will likely be a very expensive change order. That kind of stuff is going to happen. But if you can control the panic and that immediate defensiveness, then you'll have a much better chance of coming out of this situation, right? Because a lot of us take everything that we do very seriously, very purposefully, very, this is our baby, and if you don't like it, screw you, man, because you just don't get it. Because this is very much who we are, right? We put our livelihood, our lives, our souls, everything that we do into this. And because of that, there is a heavy tendency to get incredibly defensive when someone says something that might be a little bit upsetting to you. Don't let that happen. I know, Grant, it's easier said than done. I know. And you'll get better with time. I highly recommend that you work with friends and family to assist you in this so that you become less defensive, right? Have them hit you with curveballs randomly. Have them go through your client process. and have them hit you with curveballs that, you know, might not be the average curveball, but something that can definitely test your strength and fortitude to, I don't know, better handle it all. Having those tests, those assistances, and everything like that can be a make or break when it actually comes down to game time, when you're forced to perform or fail with some of the others. The best thing that you can do when there is a problem is stop. Hammer time. Oh, no, stop. Just stop. Because you really, really need to assess that situation, understand it, step away from it, pull your own feelings out of the situation. Your feelings don't matter here. You know whose feelings do? The clients. And look, if you're willing to give them a middle finger and walk away, then say, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work for us. Thank you and take care. But if there is already money involved, send it. You need to make sure that you can walk into these situations with a very, very clear head and clear conscience. That is what is required. We don't want to see people that are walking into these situations without some sort of clarity. That clarity is important. Oh, look, I'm dropping frames again. What a surprise. Sorry, nothing I can do here, guys. We're dropping frames again. Now it's time to call Spectrum. Give me 2 seconds to grab that packet loss. There it is. And send it to somebody who has been working with me on it. All right, back to it. It might seem fine for you, but we're over 17% packet loss on the stream, just so you're aware. I'm pushing more packets than usual, so I'm hoping that should solve the issue. But this will be another one where I have to apparently push up the raw recording. So, anyways. Welcome to Living in the Boonies. We'll be calling Spectrum live in the in our Discord as soon as this podcast is over. So if you want to come over and hang out, you can join for as little as $1 a month, but our Discord is locked behind the $10 tier. I know no one likes the paywalls, but it does give us a considerably smaller community of really dedicated people that like to have a lot of fun. And there's actually probably a bunch of people there. Right, there's literally nobody there hanging out right now. Cool. Love you guys. And Spurlock is here. He's the guy that's going to help me. So, Spurlock, I'll probably just let you into the Discord, and we'll call him, and it'll be fun. Anyways, we need to assess the situation. Just like I have to assess the situation, the fact that after now having 3 new lines buried to my house, none of them are going to solve anything. A brand new line ran from the tap to my modem, a brand new modem. I'm on number 6 now, as well as my entire street is on its own dedicated node. I still have internet problems. I need to step back, assess the situation, and gather the facts before responding. Because they don't care. They just don't care, and it always happens when I'm working. Spurlock says he wants me to contra code it. Yeah, you can contra code it. We will find a way to patch you through. But these are situations that make me frustrated, right? Because I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. YouTube is a business, and it's a business for anybody that's on it. People that say, "Oh, I'm just doing it so I can make videos and share them." No. You're making videos so you can make money. And while you might not care too much about the money, let the money roll in and then tell me that you don't care about the money. And when you do have situations like this that are beyond your control that cause a drop in revenue, you will get angry. You will get frustrated. And that is when you need to stop, assess, gather facts, and then you need to produce a rapid but thoughtful action to prevent hardcore escalation. Now, In the tech support world, you actually want escalation, but it's not the escalation that we talk about in business, right? Escalation in tech support is get me out of level 1, get me to level 2, get me to level 3, someone that's going to speak the language that I need to hear. That's what I need. But in the business world, escalation means people are yelling at each other, and you don't want that. You specifically don't want people yelling at each other. It is unreasonable to have people yell at each other, because at the end of the day, as soon as someone starts yelling, it's done. The relationship is over. You are not getting this client back. And so you're either saying, you know what, it's rule number 2. For those who don't know, there are 2 basic rules in life. My dad taught me these, and I think that they're really valuable in all levels of life. Rule number 1, don't be a dick, right? Operate on rule number 1 as often as you possibly can. Rule number 2 is if you're going to be a dick, be a big one. The thing is, you never operate in rule number 2 unless somebody else actively chooses rule number 2 for you. If they choose rule number 2, send it, because you have nothing to lose. They have started to be hostile. Now, you can attempt to talk them off the cliff if you want. Yeah, but sometimes someone else is going to be hostile. Well, that's just half the fun anyways now, isn't it? Let's see. And you know what? Spurluck, here's what I'm going to do. Check your DMs. There you go. I just sent you a link to our Discord because you're going to be helping me out here, so we'll call it even. You're already in the Discord. Shit. Okay. I didn't know that you were in there already. Well, I just sent you a new link. So there. Yeah. No, we'll call him in the Discord, though. Why? What? Stop! Okay, I guess I should also say why you guys could actually see the bins now. The hurricane killed my battery packs. For sure, it destroyed the ones back here. There are 4 110 amp hour flooded lead acid batteries back there. Well, there's 3 now. The best of them is reading at 6 volts. The worst of them is reading at 1.4. Although that was reading at 1.4 yesterday. I assume it's lower now. We didn't lose power. We had a really bad surge. And I don't know why, but it killed all 4 of those batteries. It upset the batteries here, but I was able to recover them. I could not recover the batteries back there. So I am running on a supplementary battery pack back there, but that's like a $600 replacement to fix that. So fun times. EcoFlow, or any of the companies that make relatively small, like, or medium-sized battery backups, hit me up. Would love to talk about how, because this is jank. This setup is jank. Real jank. But if anyone has contacts, either at a battery company or with like EcoFlow or some of these other like companies that produce battery backups, or the portable power systems, would love to talk to them, because 1, I don't want to spend the money again to buy more batteries to have this only happen again. But 2, there's a way better way to do this with newer technology that will be a much better solution, and I can do a really cool video on it. So, if you have any contacts, send me them. YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. Back to topic. So the reason that I looked over is I heard the pack go on self-test. And it's only running a 7 amp hour pack right now because I have like an original pack for it. So, yeah, that's going to be a fun one. It will be a lot of work and a lot of sulfuric acid. It's gotten very messy back there, but thankfully everything is good. But yeah, I want to do a video all about basically printing in inclement weather, where instead of like actually losing power, we'll just blow the main breaker to the house, or we'll blow the breaker to this room. And we'll show that with the right systems, you can print through anything. And if you have solar or some sort of system to charge those batteries as well, like a solar system, like a 400 or if you had 400 watts worth of solar panels on a wall of printers, you could print through any storm because you'd have batteries that would run you through the storm and then panels to recharge it when the storm is gone, but before you've had power restored. There's a whole cool video about this, and anyone that deals with hurricanes or inclement weather will absolutely understand the value of having a battery backup. So, yeah. Spark says, except for perpetual night. Well, good thing that doesn't happen. Brian Blankenship says, lightning probably hit a line near you. Your electric company should be able to help with that. They are obligated to provide a certain level of service. Also, many battery and surge protectors have insurance built in. They do have insurance built in, but not for what I did to it. Everything that was connected to it is totally fine. I don't care about the definitely not warranty battery system that I have built for it. Okay, that is an APC running car batteries. I would like to point out that that is not typical. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the Discord later as well. So anyone that is in our Discord that wants to talk about that kind of stuff, let me know because we will be talking about it live later. But yeah, I'm not going to burn a homeowner's insurance policy for $600 in batteries if I get the nice AGM ones. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pay it out of pocket and deal with it. So welcome to the real world where sometimes it is just easier not to fill out paperwork and still get the same result. All right. So we've got this panic and defense mode that a lot of people run into. That panic and defense mode is a bit of the fight or flight kicking in, right? Where we instantly say, stop. Why? Why are you so angry at me? To this day, there is one competitor that I will never talk about in the area. Every other of my competitors I am good friends with. We talk every now and then. It's been a little bit since we talked last, but especially during the human malware, we all kind of stuck together and hung out. We were cool. It was good. One of them had no desire to do that and actively sought to destroy everybody else. And while that is capitalism, they're playing by rule number 2. I will never talk about them or mention their company name. In fact, I found one of their old business cards and I burned it yesterday. It felt good. It felt real good. But my goal is to build that relationship with my competitors, because if I do have a problem with a customer, my goal as a business owner is to still get them to solve this problem, right? We want someone to still be able to get their problem solved, whether it's with me or with somebody else. I want their problem solved. And to do that, we need to get them helped. And to get that help, we need to make sure that we have that communication involved early. Russ, thank you for the $20. I greatly appreciate it, sir. Hope you and lady friend are enjoying your time. I believe you are going to be going to a lake here pretty soon. And if that is true, I do hope you enjoy it. I believe we had spoken that you're not going to be at East Coast Rep Rap, which I am bummed about. But if for some reason you do decide to make it out, I look forward to seeing you there. And I look forward to seeing anybody else there who will be going out. We will be at the East Coast Rep Rap Festival Friday through, I don't want to tell you when I'm coming back, but we will be at the East Coast Rep Rap Festival, and we are going to be doing some really awesome filming, so come over and hang out. We have some cool videos that are going to come out of the East Coast Rep Rap Festival, because I have been building stuff to use a brand new new to me, camera bag. And I've been doing a lot of CAD recently, and I'm kind of proud of myself because it's been really cool. And I don't have the pieces in front of me because I have been really cleaning my office recently. Anyways, back to it. Communication. Every single step of the process. Every single step of the process. Communication is what you need, right? It is very, very easy to miscommunicate. But if there's a lack of clarity, provide it without being defensive. I know it's really easy to take these things personally, but often the person on the other side doesn't know you're going to take this personally. And often they're not looking to cause trouble. They are simply just trying to get what they need. Now, if they are very clearly acting in malice, that's a completely different story. But for the purposes of this talk, I want to assume that someone is genuinely asking a question, and that question might be something that if you don't understand that they're not acting maliciously, might come off as being overtly offensive to you. So that lack of clarity or that withheld information, purposeful or not, can be a huge issue, right? It leads to that mistrust and that disappointment and the problems that we get with these situations. We don't want that. And I know you might say, but Grant, that's obvious. How do I stop the non-obvious? That is way less obvious than you think, because something that might be very clear and understood to you might not be clear and understood to your customer that has never done work with a 3D printer or a maker business before. And because of that, they might need a little bit of work, right? And that's not as simple as you might think. Holding the hand of a customer can take a lot of time, and it's actually why we started our YouTube channel. And the podcast specifically was to show people what 3D printing is, how it works, how it compares to injection molding, and why. In fact, I should redo those first 10 episodes and kind of show them off again and talk about them again, because tech is way better now, my streams are way better now, barring internet issues. And we did all that because we wanted to solve the main questions that we had. Lo and behold, it turned into over 2 years of my life, over 3 years of my life now, almost 3 years of my life, now making videos. And I love it. I think it's awesome. I absolutely love making videos. But it doesn't bring us in a lot of income. So that's something that we're working on. You're going to see some changes here pretty soon. We're going to be changing the way we post and how we post and what we post. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, so stay tuned for that. 3D Pine Lab says, I'm here for the cat. Amber is working around the house, and so the cat will be following her heavily. So I don't know if the cat will make an appearance, but maybe I can convince Amber to bring the cat in right toward the end for you guys. But she's been good. My friends Jazz and Joe have been assisting in cleaning up the house. The past 3 years have been very difficult for me. For those who don't know, April 9th of 2020, I sustained a serious back injury. And that generally meant that if something that was relatively heavy fell onto the floor, it stayed there. Because picking it up was problematic, it was painful, and it was dangerous. And that got out of hand. So it's very different, let's just say. And I am looking forward to a better and brighter future. And yeah, with some people that are helping me do it. So thank you, Jazz and Joe. I don't know if you're listening. I think you're out at lunch. But if you are listening, thanks, guys. Y'all are awesome. Love you. And that's part of communicating, right? They communicated to me that they wanted to help, and I communicated that I'm not really willing to accept help, but fine. You know, it's that I don't want to, but I can. Justin Miller with the $5 super chat says it's a bribe for a Victoria cameo. I will accept bribes for cat cameos. That is 100% acceptable here. 100% acceptable. See, there's communication, right? Justin is saying, hey, for $5, I want to see the cat. No problem. I make that happen for you. Come on in. Here's the cat. Amber's apparently listening to the podcast so she can hear me. There's the cat. There's a cat cameo. You can try to put her in her bed, but she's not going to stay. Cat cameo. There you go. See? Thank you. She's just gonna do cat things. Raymond Shawley says hi from the UAE. How you doing? And Pez Liz says Amber. Say hi to Liz.
Hey, come in.
Yeah.
Hi, Liz.
So let's move past this communication thing, right? We understand that communication is going to cause problems. And if you are able to get in front of it, fine. But you do have to understand that you're not going to be perfect every single time. And that's acceptable. But you have to understand that acting within the best interest of all parties involved is incredibly important. Making certain that everybody's needs are met is actively your job. Now, people might argue and say that it is not your job, that is the customer's job to be able to explain what they need. But a lot of times the customers don't know what they need. So if the customer doesn't know what they need, how am I supposed to be able to give them what they need? How? Well, you kind of just have to ask the right questions. You have to prioritize the open channels of communication. You have to do regular updates. I know that that's easier said than done. Maybe we got to look at doing a plan for that and put it out there. I don't know. And you got to make sure that you reply promptly to client inquiries. There she goes. There goes the cat. Oh, she's scratching all over the rug, which is fine. It is a rug with a rubber bottom. She ain't going to hurt it. And so getting back to people, it's very, very complicated to do it in a way where it makes sense. I would push to always respond to people within 4 hours of them talking to you or reaching out to you or whatever it is. You can wait longer, especially if you're busy. I get it. But the faster that you can get back to people, the faster that this kind of thing moves in the right direction and becomes a viable source of a relationship for you. Remember, my friends Jazz and Joe, they were clients. That's how I met them. And now they're some of my best friends. And I love them. They're awesome. They were at my house Friday until almost 1 a.m. And yesterday it was 11 o'clock on Friday. To yesterday, they were here until about the same time. They were here all day. So, yeah, it was kind of crazy. But if you communicate properly, especially the way that everybody else is expecting or the clients are expecting, yeah, it can help. Mike, Never Let the Machines Win says, customers usually know what they want, but they rarely know what they need to tell you to meet that need. 100% I agree with this. Customers know exactly what they want. They have no idea how to get it there, and often that lack of knowledge is something that frustrates them. So when they come to you, they can be a bit of a problem because they just want this. They just want that. They just want this. And they don't understand the time and effort that it takes. So part of my initial talks with people is often talking to them about the efforts that things take, showing them that things take some time and that it is possible to do it, but it will take some effort to get it done. You're giving me cat treats? Okay, we're gonna bribe the cat now, apparently. Jeez, this is a weird stream. You need one back? Okay. Okay. Have cat treats. Here, we'll see if we can get her up onto the bed with little tiny cat treats. Probably not, but we'll try. But the big thing, whenever there's a problem, is you get in front of it. And you start with apologizing. Even if it's not your fault. Chances are you could have communicated more clearly. And if you instantly talk about that and discuss why you could have communicated clearly, discuss how you're going to make those amends, and move forward in the right direction, you'll get way better responses out of people. Part of this process is making sure that everybody feels met where they need to be met. Because if they don't, they're going to go find somebody else that will, right? You got to make sure that you meet people where they need to be met. Because if you don't, you're going to go find somebody else, right? Just like if you don't like the videos that we do here, you're going to go find a different channel. If you yell at me because, I am biased, because apparently humans can be unbiased, you're going to go try to find a channel that makes more sense to you, that maybe isn't as opinionated as I am. Great. A lot of you like that kind of thing. But that's the value of the open market. You can take and go wherever you want. A like is free, a sub is free, and if you want to support financially, you can. It's not a requirement. That's the cool thing about content creation as a business. Well, that's the bad thing as a business. It's a good thing as a customer, is that there is no requirement for financial, anything. In fact, you can generally basically cut the ads out too if you're smart enough. But if you do want to support, you can support. And that's kind of why it's awesome. Now, from a business perspective, it sucks because there is no guaranteed income, there's no guaranteed revenue, but you gotta make sure that you do things correctly. That's all. That's all. Apologizing is part of the deal. And you have to address the specific issues. Don't just say, yo, sorry, bro, this didn't work out. Good luck on the next one. No, apologize with pure sincerity. You need to show genuine knowledge of what occurred and why. And if there are any inconveniences, you got to make sure that you cover them, right? If you don't cover them, somebody else will find out. You want to outline the steps to prevent reoccurrence, right? Mistakes happen. We will all make them. It is real. It is life. It is normal. But if you can get in front of the problem and then say, here are my plans to solve it so it never happens again, you've got one hell of a situation that should work way better in your favor than you might ever expect. So be safe there. Get in front of it. And I know that it can be awkward, right? Apologizing is not easy. It's not, especially when you feel wronged. But that is really, really important. And if you outline those steps to prevent that reoccurrence, it shows that you've put real thought into it, right? Don't just instantly say you're sorry. If you need to take a couple of seconds, define the plan, and then apologize, do it. And if someone has a problem with it, that's on them and not you as far as I'm concerned. So, damage control, right? Some small issues, you're not going to have anything that needs damage control, right? It is what it is. Hey, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Here's how we're going to solve it. And you move on, right? But if you don't address the issue correctly, it is going to snowball and get out of hand very fast. And this is going to cause more significant harm and, more importantly, mistrust. And as soon as that trust bond is broken in a business, it's over. There is no chance you're getting it back. When someone feels that they've been wronged in a meaningful way, they're done. Now, sometimes the client themselves might just decide we're going to burn the whole thing to the ground. Right? Do their best to functionally cause as much damage as possible. It's not common, but it's also not impossible. We've seen it happen. Hell, we've had clients try it. It's life. But if you have your right defenses in place, you can get around these problems and, in fact, never have to get to this point. Nobody likes damage control. Nobody likes damage control. And I get it. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's also nowhere near the hardest thing to do. It is often easier to ignore a problem until it's easier to apologize and say, I'm sorry, than it is to get in front of it and make sure that it doesn't happen in the first place. But often in maker businesses, the communication is where the issue first occurs, and where it will continue to occur if you don't get in front of it. The cat's laying on the floor next to me. Nope, there she goes. She just ran away. I was going to say, these treats didn't do jack diddly. Fine. I'm going to put them off camera because they look like little poops in the bed. Sorry if you're listening audio only, but if you are listening on Spotify, there is a video version of this available on Spotify now. That's a cool thing that Spotify is doing. I don't know if it means you can't listen to it like I have a Spotify car thing because I drive a car that's older than quite a bit of our viewers. My car's 21 years old, and so it doesn't have any of that fancy stuff. I don't know if that means you can't watch a video, like you can't listen to something. I don't know. Math and stuff, I guess. But part of this conflict mitigation and the damage control is understanding their perspective, right? If you can't put yourself into the shoes of the customer, then you're probably not going to be able to solve the issue that is at hand. It is a really, really difficult skill to learn, but it is one that if you can learn it and be good at it, you will never have problems. and it is to put yourself into the shoes of others. If you are functionally able to get that mindset and say, all right, what are we missing here? Let me see what they're asking. Let me see what's going through their head. And let me see if I can put myself there. If you're able to do that, you win because you won't have this problem. But you don't want to just focus on you, because at the end of the day, it ain't about you. It's about them. It's about the customer. It's about what they want. It's about the client. And if it's a $10 customer, you might not care. Oh, there goes another packet. If it is a $500 customer, you care a little bit more. If it's a $5,000 customer, you're bending over backwards trying to make it right, especially as a new business owner. Now, as a, if you're a well-established company, $5,000 might seem like $5 to you. So assess the value level to yourself and understand whether or not it's worth it. But I would argue that if you're doing damage control on a cheap client, you should have never taken that cheap client in the first place. Personal feeling. You need to understand them, though, right? You want to... Some of the best ways to do this, okay? Some of the best ways to understand their perspective is to regularly get feedback. You always want to get feedback from them, good or bad. If you have staff, conduct empathy training. And if you don't have staff, quit being so stuck up. And you're going to say, well, Grant, that sounds very stuck up of you. No, it's just real, right? Let me be clear here. Nobody cares. They don't. And when you realize that the client is just trying to get their problem solved and they're not trying to hurt you, then you go about this and you're in so much better shape every single time. Every single time. Mike says he's at the I want my $2 stage still. Yeah, I get that. And Brian says a client won on price will be lost the same way. 100%. If you win a client because you're the cheapest, somebody else will undercut you. Stop being cheap. Just stop being cheap in general. You also need to prioritize the client in decision making. I understand that it might be difficult, right? Here, I will share a failure with you. I don't like to share failures, but I think it's important. 5 years ago, I ruined a relationship with a client. I did everything that I could. We all screwed up, but ultimately, I made them look stupid. I had a client that needed a building, was an architect. They needed me to build a building for them. Full floor plan, everything. And it was very last minute. I said we could do it. Not realizing they said they needed the part by Monday. Monday is Labor Day. This happened over Labor Day weekend. So I remember this vividly. Nobody realized that Monday was Labor Day. So what they actually needed is they needed it by Friday. They needed it 3 days earlier than I expected. So I lost 3 days in my production time, meaning it wasn't ready. And by the point that all of us had realized this, it was way too late for me to back out. I made a fool of that client. And I could have charged them. I could have charged them for all of my time, all of my effort. I turned my bathroom into a paint booth, okay? Because it's so humid here in Florida, you can't spray paint outside, especially after the sun goes down. So I turned my bathroom into a paint booth. Shout out to Ionic Breeze. Great way to filter air if you're building a paint booth in your bathroom. I don't recommend it, but it worked a treat. Absolutely kept a lot of the particulate out of the air. So I think a lot of those, marketing things were real. I've always used them to deal with the cat hair, but they also work great for getting paint particles out of the air. They should pay me to say that. What the hell? Are they even still in business? Probably not. Um, but yeah, I made a client look really bad, right? And I really don't have a way to solve that. I apologized profusely and said, guys, I had no idea. And they said, yeah, we didn't either, but we still need it. I said, I'm not going to be able to get it done. They said, well, get it done as much as you can. We'll do what we can to finish it. It didn't work. Like, we had so many issues. We had so many. Like, I still remember that. I still remember that project. I still remember the stress from it. That was a rough project. And to this day, I have never worked with that client again. I ruined that relationship, and I knew it. I solicited feedback from the owner, who is a very good friend, or was a good friend. He said, dude, you screwed up. I said, yeah, but you know what? We all did. He's like, we did. But at the end of the day, you still said you could do it. I said, well, when we realized that the deadline had changed, I told you I couldn't. He said, yeah, but we were too late in the game. You can't back out. I said, yeah, but man, that's a communication error. He said, yep, that's not on me. It's on you. That is an individual who has given me a lot of business advice throughout the years. And in fact, his son was one of the original founders of 3D Musketeers. It was not easy to hear that because I knew at that point that I had burned that relationship. But that's as far as it went, right? It didn't really hurt outside of it, but I felt personally responsible for the fact that they looked stupid in front of one of their clients, which was a very expensive client. Now, I know that they figured it out because I can see the building that they made, and I can see the fact that it looks damn close to what we built for them. But we overpromised and underdelivered. That was on us. And those issues happened. I don't have a good way to solve it. That was one of those situations where it was a perfect storm of problems that resulted in a failure. But I had to understand their perspective and really understand their position, that it's not their problem. Because you know what? It wasn't. It was mine. And it sucks. That was probably $8,000. $8,000 of a job probably out the window, and probably 4 straight days of no sleep of my time of doing nothing else but their job. So you're talking tens of thousands of dollars lost there. Is what it is. You win some, you lose some. But you learn to check your calendars for holidays and ask if they need it on the holiday or before the holiday. And I have a whole thing where we make sure to check for holidays and we make sure to validate whether or not they need it before or after the holiday, because I got burned that one time. Having emotional intelligence is another valuable thing, incredibly valuable, right? If you misread or misunderstand the client's emotions, you can really mess it up. If you read the fact that they're getting upset and defensive, so you also get defensive, bad move, bad move, bad move. If you can tell that someone is getting frustrated with you, get in front of it and say, hey, I can tell there might be some difficulties here. Let's talk about it. Oh, there goes another packet. When you're able to talk about those difficulties and better work together, then you have less problems. You can determine this, right? Some clients will communicate a lot as they're getting frustrated. Others will disappear as they get frustrated. We have 2 clients right now that I have sent 3 emails to over the course of a couple of months. I have not heard from them. I don't know what's going on. They have not communicated. So we're going to put their projects on hold. When they come back and they're ready, we're happy to help them. But one of them just had a sinkhole open up near their house. I told him, I said, hey, buddy, let's pause this for right now. I will hold all the work for you. I'll tell our team to hold. You focus on your life. The project that we're doing is not important compared to this. I want you to deal with it. The other one has a newborn. Same deal. Honestly, might be worse stress with a newborn than a sinkhole, because at least a sinkhole is predictable for the most part. Newborns, not predictable. In those situations, I just tell them, hey, I'm going to leave you guys alone. When you're ready to poke your head back up and work, poke it up. But until then, we're cool. There's no need. My goal is to make sure that they are taken care of. And if that means that I need to pause the work, then I pause the work. The nice thing is we're paid up front, or we minimally don't work past what we've been paid. So there's no cost to me to just wait. There's a cost to them to wait. Because sometimes they don't come back. We don't hear from them. Their lives change. Their needs change. Their projects change. And because of that, they move on. It is what it is. So it means we end up with a lot of products that have a graveyard component. Yeah. That's pretty common. You will find that out too. Because at the end of the day, it's not your job to finish a project if someone stops communicating with you. Clear communication means that you're having often updates. You're working together. And if you don't get feedback and you don't know what's needed, you pause, you wait, you follow up. There goes another packet. When you can pause, wait, and follow up, life gets so much better. Because then you operate on true clarity. That emotional intelligence will be really, really valuable. One of the most valuable things that you can do in business is be emotionally intelligent and understand that their needs often are way more important than yours. Ooh, there go 2 more packets gone. Give me a second. All right. I'm pinging from another computer so I can validate if everything goes wrong. So, yeah. Anyways, sorry. I needed to get that done before I forgot about it, because otherwise I would have forgotten about it. So, my apologies. So, proactive problem solving, right? You don't want to wait for issues to escalate before you solve them. You want to solve these problems as soon as you see them. Problems like this tend to snowball, okay? If you have a miscommunication with a client, it has a massive tendency to just snowball out of control and be a monumental problem. Like, monumental problem. Don't be that person. Don't be that person that lets it snowball. Don't be that person. You want to get in front of it, right? And if your client is having an issue where they're snowballing, put your guard up, hold, and get ready. Because chances are, it's going to be a bit of a storm that you need to run into and run through. Okay? They might be basically writing their own dissatisfaction report, but if you can help them, at least kick the can down the road. That is a much better solution, right? You don't always have to be the person that gets it right. And in fact, people are not often asking for you to be that person. They're asking you to solve the problem. If you can't get it right, then as long as you're communicating it along the way, there's no problem here. They need to understand that too. Because if it does get out of control, you'll never, ever rebuild that trust. And yeah, you can encourage that active listening. Great example of this can be listen to what they have to say. Part of your answer is you rephrase their question as the answer. So if they say, I don't understand why this is taking so long, say, well, to help you better understand why it's taking so long, these are some of the challenges that we've experienced, right? So they understand how you're communicating. You are letting them know that I listened to you, I heard you, here's my response. That is incredibly valuable. It's often called parroting, right? Where you're like a parrot telling them back what they told you. And if you're not doing that correctly, they'll instantly correct you, right? So if they say, I don't understand why this is taking so long, say, well, it's costing more money. No. Why is it taking so long? I don't care about the money. I care about why it's taking so long. See, right there, because you told them back what you thought you heard or what they might have said, they're able to correct you, and you can then respond to that correction. But that requires active listening. A situation can get very hostile very fast, and it's often when people take things personally. Businesses don't do this. They don't do this. Businesses don't take things personally, right? It's not their job. I get it. As a one-person operation, you take a lot of things seriously because this is your blood, sweat, and way too many tears, and likely your emotional stability going out the window. By the way, we're going to get a therapist on here after the East Coast Rep Festival. We're going to talk all about burnout. So if you want to hear about that, get subscribed, like, comment, all that kind of stuff. Let me know because he doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to invite my buddy, Nick Angers, back on the podcast where last year or the year prior, we talked all about imposter syndrome. I want to talk about burnout because that's a really good one to talk about because I know every single one of you have dealt with burnout at one point in your life, and it sucks. And it sucks when you're burning out on a client project. That is even worse to me when you're just running out of dams to give and you need to get this project done. It's rough. Mike asks, can we heckle Nick? I would be upset if you didn't. I'd be upset if you didn't. Ram Online says, I need a print Dr. Grant. These YouTube channels made me addictive. We were debating on like rebranding Print Fix Friday to be like the print doctor. But we're working on that. And in fact, I'm going to put that in here. Because that is something that I would like to talk about more and kind of expanding on the idea of a print doctor. Mike says he'll practice on an IRF. I think we're all going to practice on Nick at IRF. So, yeah, like this whole process of really looking into it, understanding, getting a better feel of what you need, what your client needs, what the needs are of everybody involved. Oh, man. Oh, it's so much better, right? It's so much better. If you can anticipate these pitfalls and you can see them coming, you can proactively solve problems. And we're going to do it. People get mad at me because I yell at Bamboo all the time. But if they were even mildly proactive rather than reactive, they wouldn't piss me off. Like, my screen right now is burning SD cards. Like, I 5 or 6 prints and the card is ruined. They will not replace it unless I give them a log file. Okay, fine. Give me a refund for the whole damn printer. No problem. I'll send it back. I'll completely wipe all my data off of it multiple times and send it back. Because if you won't let me do that, can't help you. I can't send log files by law. They're not being proactive. They're being reactive. Stop being reactive. Be proactive. You need to deal with conflict proactively. And if you keep seeing the same stuff come up over and over and over again and you're doing nothing to solve it, you're not being proactive. You are being reactive, quite literally by definition. Stop being reactive. You want to build a robust problem-solving protocol. That is what is required for this. If you don't have that robust protocol, you're going to run into problems. And I know it's not easy. It's not simple. It's not fair. It's difficult. It's complicated. There's no solution for this. It is all tough. But if you play this game of, oh, I'll deal with it after it occurs, you are going to get people like me who have a big voice, who are not afraid to use it. And while people might call me a hater, when that machine runs, it is amazing. The problem is, it doesn't run all the damn time. And because I can't use the cloud, I am forced to use SD cards. And I have... Hold on. Where are they? Well, they're in here with all my other cards. There is a pile of micro SD cards at the bottom of this that have all been destroyed by the bamboo. They are not recognized on any computer. They're not recognized for any reason. They're shot. And there is nothing that I can do to change that. But the company is being reactive rather than proactive. They need to understand that some of us operate in business class environments where providing log files is not only not possible, it is not legal. And to deny me a warranty because of that is wrong. It's just straight wrong. You want to develop a robust problem-solving protocol, and you want to involve clients in solution brainstorming. If you don't involve them in the solution, you might not get the right solution. Remember, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It is about them. And if you don't involve them, then you can't expect that your solution is going to meet their needs. I wouldn't. Nothing you can do about that. Duff says SanDisk Max Endurance SD cards are the way to go. So the problem is, and I know why they're dying, the bamboo records raw footage to the memory card as it's printing. Not just time-lapse footage, raw footage to the memory card as it's printing. That's a problem. Also, for you tech geeks out there, this is going to piss a lot of people off. Spurlock, I know you're still in here. When you turn a bamboo off and back on, it turns its Wi-Fi back on. Even if you've turned the Wi-Fi off, it turns its own internet connection back on. Even if you go into the settings and turn off LAN, turn off WLAN, or WAN, I think, it turns it back on when you turn the printer back on. It overrides a user decision without your consent. But yeah, the cards are getting too many read and writes. That's exactly what's happening. I don't think I have a max endurance card here, but my dash cam recently broke, and I can pull the micro SD card out of that. The mount broke. It's like, the dash cam still works, but the system to mount it to my window no longer works. And it is not worth, it's not worth fixing. But yeah, with the machine turning on its Wi-Fi, that's like ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. I did not authorize that. So, fun stuff. 3DHP says my X1 Carbon is an almost perfect machine. You mean an almost perfect spy tool? I'm not getting into bamboo bullshit today. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. We are actually going to go down actual paths of actual problems of companies that give a shit. And you, if you are looking to build something, we are going to help you actually give a shit. Because that is where this stands. Companies that need to care. You need to care about your clients. You need to involve them. It's the same way that I've reached out multiple times to Bamboo saying, I want to work with you on this. I want to solve this problem together. I want to solve this issue. They don't say shit to me. I am actively reaching out saying, I have problems. I want to help you solve them. And I want to work together on it. I am basically saying I want to be involved in the process. What they say is we don't care. We're not solving it. And that is a bad way. That is why I get upset. Because the company just doesn't care. You as a business need to care about your consumers. You have to care about your consumers. You have to. Because if you don't, you get people like me that won't stop talking about how bad of a company you are and will never recommend your machines until your behavior and your situations change. And I won't. And I don't care. Once you've damaged trust, it is pretty much impossible to build it up. You can demonstrate accountability. That will help. You can deliver consistently if they still say that you can, work with them. And you can show that long-term commitment to improvement. But if you've damaged the trust beyond repair, you got to write it off. You got to write it off. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. It does not work that way. Businesses can't operate like that. It's not possible. We are not in a world where you can just burn people over and over and over again and expect to come out of it completely unscathed. Sure, as a big company, let's choose any of the Fortune 50s. They can burn 5% of their user base and nobody will know about it. But when you start causing enough problems with enough people, like, your cloud fails and people's printers start randomly printing without your consent or without their consent, you get noticed. You get noticed by the FCC. Oh, did I say that? And then Spurlock says, you then Elon Musk Twitter. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. When you run your mouth, then you get called on it, you Elon Musk Twitter. Don't Elon Musk things. Don't run your mouth. Don't get called on shit. If you don't run your mouth, you don't have a way to get called on it. You feel me? Yes, if it's a small problem, you can rebuild, right? Isn't that part of making, right? Make, break, make again. If you can't make again, you have to understand. You have to understand. You can't just let it happen. And I get it. I get it. It is easy. It's very easy to just let it go and say it's not ever going to be a problem. But I promise you will do something that the customer will instantly feel betrayed about at some point in your line of business. I've done it. And if you can get ahead of it, or you can play good damage control, you might have a good scenario here where life works. But you gotta be careful because it's a very slippery slope that can be very, very dangerous to ride on. Don't be that person. You gotta put up preventative measures, right? You can't rely on reactive strategies because it leads to repeated mistakes. Where have we seen that recently? I don't have an editor to do the Zoom, so I did it myself. We've seen that very much recently, right? If you continue to be reactive, you will literally make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Don't make the same mistakes over and over and over again! Because if you do, you're going to lose all your clients. And they're going to get mad. And it's going to be a problem. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Don't be that person. you have to analyze those previous mistakes. You need to establish operating procedures, and you need to engage in continuous improvement. Because if you don't do all three of those things, you will continue to make the same problems over and over and over again. You do this by having feedback loops. You want to implement regular feedback sessions during your review, especially if you're a 3D designer for somebody. You want to implement design reviews so that you don't end up going down a path the client didn't want because you didn't understand or you didn't ask the right questions or they didn't describe it, right? You want to create the accessible channels, right? When you work with us, you get a way to contact me directly. Oh, look, you can see me and you can see me. If you call the company number or you text it, it rings my phone. Now, it's not my personal cell phone number, so I can ignore the calls, but it does ring me. Because I want people to have direct access to the owner of the business should there be a problem. Because if they can't, they're going to find someone who will give it to them. They want someone who's going to have that knowledge, who's going to be able to say, hey, I got you. Let me step in. Let me take care of this. We got you, Holmes. It's no problem. And you know what? Every now and then, you got to step in. Now, if you're a solopreneur, you are the business, you're the owner, you're the designer, you're the printer, you're the everything, right? You got to be everything. And that will never change until you build your team. But as David Tobin has told me, it is good to have staff. I know that the big companies that want us to work with them don't watch my videos because when they email YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com and I reply to them and I sign it as Victoria, they don't get that that's my cat. And the ones that do absolutely love it and they realize it's me, just hiding behind a name. But it's part of what David Tobin told me. Never let a company reach you directly for YouTube. That's not how it goes overseas. It is a relationship they want to build with a staff member that will communicate with the business owner. And if that means you do the same thing with your clients, fine. But you can't do it on the phone. You can do it in emails. You can make fake emails. But it will be a lot of effort to keep up. Trust me, it's a lot of effort to keep up. But it builds that relationship and shows that, oh, they're not a solopreneur working out of their basement. I don't have basements in Florida, so that's obviously not me. If I had a basement in Florida, I wouldn't need all this land that I have to mow. All of my neighbors just mowed. My house looks terrible outside, but it is a 4-hour job and it is a 3-day recovery for me. So I only mow very, 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 very seldomly. Yay, no homeowners association. I'm the bad neighbor. But it keeps me from being able to function for the next few days because of back pain. So it's a disability, and I kind of hate it. Anyways, I guess I should mark that for Andrew. So what do you want to do to solve it, right? If you're working with a big company, external mediation is a great way. You bring in a third-party mediator who is paid out of your pocket to work out the situation. And if you are at that point, you have really screwed up. Like, properly screwed up. You as a solopreneur should never get there. If you are doing external mediation as a solopreneur, God bless you, because you are making way more money than me. I ain't making enough money for external mediators. I'd rather burn the relationship than pay somebody else to try to save it. Because if we're at the point where you're paying somebody to try to save that relationship, it ain't worth saving, homie. Let it go. You want to reaffirm commitment, right? Hiccups happen, right? Mistakes happen. Problems happen. Situations happen. If you can't get through them, then you might as well just let it go. If the client can't understand that you will not be perfect every single time, then they ain't a client for you. They're a client for the competitor that you don't like. We've talked about that before. Keep a list of people you don't like to send business to as well. The ones that you don't want to work with. You want to invest in the relationship, right? Sporlex says, is this business advice or life coaching? It's kind of the same thing, right? Because what is a business client relationship other than an actual relationship, right? You're not going to tell each other that you love each other, right? But you are certainly going to, get to know each other. Then decide to spend a little bit of money. That's the first date. And if they want to come back and work with you longer, then hey, it works. And when they want to sign that exclusivity contract, that's a marriage. That's a marriage. That's an exclusivity contract. And if one of you break it, that's divorce. I will caution you not to run your life relationships like a business, because you will burn your life relationship, because it is way easier to burn a relationship with a client. It doesn't hurt because it's a business. And if you operate your regular life like that, you're going to be lonely. So don't do that, please. Especially you neurodivergents out there that take everything way too personally. Hi, I'm one of you. Don't run your business like your life, and don't run your life like your business. Neither of them will work out well. Part of this is producing a clear path forward. And if you can produce said clear path forward, you have an opportunity to create revenue. You have an opportunity to create relationships. You have an opportunity to create happy customers. Getting it wrong happens. Everybody screws up. Hell, I've got a client that has sent me the wrong file 3 times. Is it frustrating? You gosh darn right it's frustrating. Am I still going to work with them and make it work? Yeah, I'm still going to work with them. Why? Because I like them. They're cool. They're good people. They give a shit. They're nice. They're nice. I like them. I said nice twice. Oh well. So nice, you say it twice. Part of life is understanding that you are just talking to other people. Part of business is understanding that the person on the other end of the email, the other end of the telephone, the other end of the whatever it might be, is just another human. And if you treat them like another human, you will continue to get positive relationships with people. Yes, there are times where you as a business will have to let it go. Just like there are times in life where the relationship ain't working and it's time to walk away. But if you play the scorched earth policy, the same thing that happens in your life will happen in your business. Word gets around that you're a bit of an asshole. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to date an asshole. And if they do, go find small business owners. Nadcat said, I've had one marriage fail because I did not know that I was neurodiverse. I'm married again. It's a struggle to understand the relationship, but we are making it work. Yeah, you neurodivergents out there. Hi, I'm one of you. We look at things and the world a little differently. And that's okay. It's totally okay to look at the world a little differently. But you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of others. Maybe your significant other isn't neurodiverse. Maybe they're as neurodiverse as you, and the two of you are just battling neurodiversity all the time, right? That ain't easy either. God, it's not easy. Business is kind of the same way. Each business has its own needs. It has its own SOPs, standard operating procedures, and it has everything that's unique to it and non-unique to anything else. You need to understand that too. That every business is different, but every business kind of isn't. They all have the same needs. They want stuff. You make stuff. They give money for stuff, and you give stuff when you get money for stuff. It's a really easy relationship. It is simple. It works. It's purposeful. It's real. But if you can't make it work, then there's no chance at all for you to make it work. You have to be understanding that everyone needs to be met in a different way. This is that emotional intelligence that we talked about earlier. Yeah. All right, we'll go down it. Learn a little bit about social engineering. Learn a little bit about how people tick, how they work, how to get them to do what you want. It's a little weird. And in fact, it can be very damaging if you use those like techniques in relationships, like personal relationships. But learn a little bit about social engineering and how it is one of the most like valuable tools in understanding the needs of others. Getting them to tell it to you without getting them to tell it to you is really valuable. Getting them to be able to communicate clearly when they're not, without saying, I'm just not understanding what you're saying, you're talking like an absolute buffoon, is a very valuable thing to discuss with somebody. But it's not always something that you can say blatantly to their face. Social engineering will help you with those tools and techniques. I don't have the answers to you on exactly what to do with your business unless you talk to me, right? If you are going through some issues in your maker business and you want someone to take a look at it, email me. But understand, I'm not going to go easy on you. I'm going to tell you to your face the problems that I see. And if you don't like it, I'll end the call. Because I'm not here to help you for you to get mad at me. You're coming to me because you want some help. And I want to help. Spurlock says, some folks here have the gift of gab and are natural salespeople. Find one and get them to help you. Hi. Happy to help. Now, I have limited time, so be aware of that. Don't take up a ton of my time. But I will help you. Now, I'll give you 25 minutes on the house. Once it goes 26 minutes, you're on my clock. And I will bill you. And if you don't pay, I'll do something with your recording. Because we, of course, do record every one of the calls that we do. Part of that is I want to be able to watch them later and better study body language of people. Better understand, did I hit it or did I miss it? Did I think that I hit it when I actually miss it? And it has allowed me to become a much better communicator, a much better business person, and quite frankly, just a much better human in general, to be able to pick up on the subtle cues. Things like when someone uses the word just, they don't understand what is needed. Great. I can talk to them. I can get ahead of that before it becomes a major problem and produce a solution where they're happy. Like the person that came to me that wanted to do trophies that look like Grammy Awards for a nonprofit for an event coming up at the end of October. I told them it's going to be expensive. A Grammy looks like an old school phonograph, old record player. I said, I don't think it's going to be easy, but let's look into it. I said, real quick though, you are a nonprofit, so I'm assuming you don't have a ton of budget, but what are we working with here? And they told me what they were working with. And I said, I can't. I said, there's no way that I can meet your needs. So you've got another 10 minutes. Let me help you find something that works. So I went to Amazon and I found 3 different phonograph. They're not trophies, they're music boxes. They're music boxes that have a phonograph on the top of them. That's even cooler. And she was absolutely elated. She didn't know what to look for. She was looking for Grammy Awards. When you look for Grammy Awards, you get Golden Globe Awards. You get other awards that aren't Grammys. You know, the fake ones. And so I said, all right, well, it's a phonograph. So why don't we look for phonograph metal? And I found a bunch of music boxes with phonographs on them. They're not functioning, but they are nice little centerpieces. They're going to put, instead of using these as trophies, they're going to do something else for trophies. They're going to put these on the center of every table at the event. It's going to be a really cool little piece, right? And I guess they'll let the winners take, I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't really care. It's cool, but I'm not involved anymore. I took that extra time that I gave them to find them a solution. And often that solution finding is way more valuable to them than me saying, oh yeah, we can do it. Because, dude, 3D printing that would have sucked, especially for the price. I understand that a lot of neurodivergent people tend to be more introverted. And when they do have a moment of extroversion, it is kind of weird for other people. Because what it is, it's more of a data dump, and they need to just get something out of their brain before they forget it. Hi. This is what happens when I tangent. I need to say something, and I get it out. That can make communicating very, very difficult. And that can make conflicts very, very obvious and very easy to get into. Being able to separate a little bit and build yourself a list, a test, whatever, can really help move it in the right direction. There are all these AI programs out there like ChatGPT. Utilize it. Utilize it to help you build a process. And if it doesn't work, say, hey, you go back to the prompt and say, I tried this. This was the issue that I ran into. Can you help me get through it? And it will work on generating something new. Now, be aware, of course, it's not always accurate. Fact check it and all that. But if you're a solopreneur, tools like this literally change the game in your ability to communicate well with others, especially if you suck at communicating. Because it is a machine that is utilizing knowledge that it has gained from all over the internet to build something for you. Use it. Brian says, just yesterday I had a client contact to have something designed that I found she could buy for $2.65. So yeah, I gave her the link to it. Bingo. Freaking bingo. That's what you want to do. Don't just solve the problem. Well, don't just tell them you can't help them. Solve their problem or help them kick the can down the road. If you can't do that, then you don't want to run a business. Because often, if you can't help someone, you just say, hey, I can't help you. Sorry, have a nice day, click. That's a bad solution. Be the one that helps them get through it all. You can do it. Winslow Joy with the 1999 saying, just got here, wanted to offer a token for all that I've learned over the past couple of years. Thank you, Winslow Joy. I greatly appreciate that support. Thank you. I never really know what to say when people donate, and it always upsets me because it's something my business mentors point out. He said, you have a really hard time accepting the fact that, you know, people like you and that you have qualities that people like because you're always looking at what you're doing wrong. And because you're always looking at what you're doing wrong, you're not focusing on what you're doing right. He said, now, there's a benefit to this. The benefit is that you never get your own ego blown up so far that it doesn't fit through a doorway. But at the same time, you don't know how to properly accept praise from others because to you, it could always be better, right? If I scripted things, I could probably do this podcast in 25 or 30 minutes max. We are an hour and a half deep into it. And while I am slowly wrapping up, it is still something that's like, oh, okay, he could do better, right? Like, we don't have a sponsor. I want a freaking podcast sponsor because for what I want to charge, one, I think it's well worth the money, but two, it would really help the channel. Like, we're looking at doing podcast sponsorships at like the $1,000 to $2,000 mark, which sounds like a lot of money. But if we're doing an hour to an hour and a half show and you get 3 to 4 call to actions in it, one of which is like north of 60 seconds, there can be a lot of value for a business in that. So, Super Kara says this podcast would be a lot less interesting without the tangents and stories. Yeah, it would be, but it would also be a lot shorter. So you would get the data fast, and then you could go on to the next episode, right? I see Joe and Jasmine are currently in the chat right now. So hi, guys. They say you deserve the praise, especially when you put in the hard work that you do. Jasmine says Don and BB say hi too. We love supporting 3D Musketeers. Hi, Don and BB. They're at dinner with their mom. Anyways, or lunch. It's lunch. See, brain moving. Anyways, yeah. Look, you're gonna have conflict. Like, dude, you're going to have conflict. Guaranteed. Guaranteed you're going to have conflict. Be the one that gets in front of it rather than the one that is always looking behind. Be the one that has value-added services. Be the one that just generally gives a damn. And you will find that you will be so much happier in business. Hell, you'll be so much happier in life. A lot of us are problem solvers. That is not always a good thing. But I know it's an easy place to be. Being the problem solver is a very easy place to be. But it's also kind of toxic from time to time because not always people want their problem solved. They often just want to listen. And they want you to listen. They don't want you to solve their problems. Sometimes you want to be the problem solver. Other times you want to shut the hell up and listen. And if that takes someone telling you, shut the hell up and listen to me, then that's what it takes. When someone says to be quiet and listen, shut up and listen. Don't think about what your response is going to be. Just listen. Because a lot of times, we all do this, especially you neurodivergents. And I say that, and it feels like I'm saying that rudely. I'm not. I'm talking to myself here. That we will start to answer the question before it's 100% told. That creates conflict. Amber says, do you want to vent or do you want advice? Yeah. When a client calls and they're upset, say, hey, is this something you want me to solve or is it something you just want me to listen to? And if they say, I just want you to listen right now, we'll talk about a solution when I'm done. Okay? And if that means you need to mute your microphone while you listen, mute the damn microphone. On some of them, there's a button for it. And on others, you just hit the mute button. I can turn my microphone off, but all it does is it cuts the gain out. In fact, if I turn it off, you can probably still hear me if I yell. I'm not going to do that. But I know that you can hear me. Life is about building relationships. Business is about building relationships. Your business is just a tax identification number for a human. And I know that is weird. But if your business is like another human, and you treat it that way, and you operate your business as if you're talking to other humans, it's because you're talking to other humans, then you'll be so much better at the end of the day. I recognize that there is no one perfect solution for everybody, and what works for me might not work for you. But if you got this far, you've heard my offer. And I like to hide those offers in the middle of the episodes, in the middle of the podcast, because, you know, It's way more fun that way. And so let's hide some more stuff right at the end. We're going to be changing our content calendar. I think October is when we're going to start it. We're going to start posting videos on Wednesday every other week. The week that we're not posting a recorded video, I will be streaming, hopefully. The plan is I'm streaming, where we're going to do printer unboxings, first looks, we're going to work on projects, Voron build. We're going to be doing all that stuff. It's going to be awesome, because I want to focus more on that live stream content. As Mad Cat says, the episode with Nero and I has a ton of views because we tangented. But it's also because Nero and I are very similar personality-wise, and that means that we get to bounce and move off each other. It's why I'm kind of debating on looking for a second host for the podcast, where we always just have two people and we just kind of jam. Right? It's like a jam session, but we're just talking about a subject. And sure, we'll bob and weave our way through. But I can definitely tell that episodes with other people that have the same level of excitement for things that I do absolutely get better views. Otherwise, I know people just enjoy listening to me talk from time to time, and I want to help you guys. So, Winslow Joy says, need to bounce. Have a good weekend. I'll listen to the playback tonight. See you at IRF. Yes, we will be at the East Coast Rap Festival. I am very excited to go. We are still looking for a sponsor for that, technically. So if there's anyone that wants to sponsor that trip, hit me up, because that would be really convenient. It's not cheap. But that's okay. If we don't get them, we don't get them. My goal is to still go out there, produce really awesome content. And we have a new system that we're doing. I've got a lot of new camera gear, and this one's going to be cool. I have a really cool lens that I plan on using. It is an 8mm fisheye. And that means we can capture the entire event in one lens. And that's going to be really, really cool. I've got a whole thing planned out that I want to do where you'll be able to see everything. It'll be awesome. And I hope you guys will join me for it. But that is all I have for you all today. I hope you enjoyed this episode all about dealing with client relationships that hit a bump. I had ChatGPT help me with the title. I don't know if it's any good. I might change it later. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, leave a like, get subscribed, and keep making awesome. Season 3, episode 50. Take care.